Hey guys, Ryan here from Buzz Overland. Just wanted to do a quick install video today to show you guys how to fit the light brackets for our reverse light upgrade package that we do. So first things, I'll tell you what's included in the kit. So within our kit, you're gonna get two of these brackets. You'll get a left hand and a right hand. So this is a 316 stainless steel bracket, powder coated in the same black powder coat finish we use on all of our external products. This replaces a plastic trim piece on the vehicle that I'm going to show you in a second. These brackets are specifically designed for the rigid SRM series of lights. So within our kit, you're also going to receive two of the rigid SRM lights with a diffused lens. So these provide an epic amount of light output for the rear of your vehicle that you can use either as a camping work light or just to help you when you need a bit more light for reversing. And then also you're going to get a fixing kit. So included in this are some black stainless steel M6 dome head bolts and some nylock nuts that we'll use to fix these brackets onto the vehicle. So we'll head over to the vehicle and show you how this is done. Alright guys, so this bracket is designed to replace this plastic trim piece on the vehicle. So we do this on both sides of the vehicle. I'm going to show you now how we remove that and then how we fit this bracket and then also what your options are for wiring, because we don't provide a harness with this kit because there's a few different ways you can wire them up depending on what you're trying to achieve. All right, so first step we're going to do, we've got several screws on the interior that we need to remove in order to remove the plastic trim piece at the top, and then depending on how you're going to wire it, you may need to remove the bottom trim piece as well. Right, so the next screw you're going to have to remove, if you have the L-track or just the plastic trim, there is a screw on the side here, you'll need to remove that as well. Right guys, so in order to remove this, there is a little lip that hooks behind this trim piece. So all you got to do, you need to just ease that out slightly in order to remove this. This is just a click-in fitting, so you'll just have to give it a good tug and then it'll come out. And if you just open the door, it'll let you feed that fitting through. So that's the piece that we're going to be replacing. Right guys, so to fit the bracket, you've got to pull this panel off, or you just got to pop it forward. So these are the same kind of clip-in fittings. So just a good tug will let you pull that forward. So now you've got access and you'll be able to get the bracket on and bolt it on. But before we do that, you've got to decide how you're going to go ahead and wire these in. There's two routes you can go. If you have the high load pack on the roof, there is actually a grommet up here. So you will be able to run a cable up here into your roof gutter, and then you can pick up on one of the power points on your roof and you can power it that way using the overhead switch. If you don't have the high load pack, or you'd prefer not to utilize one of those auxiliary switches and you'd like to use one of the other ones, you can do what we've done, where we've removed this panel, which I'll show you in a second, and we've actually followed the lighting harness, the harness for this rear tail light back to under the seats. From there, we've then wired to the passenger footwell and we've picked up the INT1 auxiliary, which is a 10 amp switch that's powered by your overhead console. So we've used that to power the reverse lights on this vehicle. But like I said, there's one or two ways you can do it. So I'll remove this panel to show you where we've run the wiring. So that is an option. Or like I said, alternatively, you can run it up behind here through a little rubber grommet and pick up one of your power points on the roof. Right, so in order to remove this, again, we've removed those screws on the side. It's also just a push fit type fitting. So again, it just needs a little tug and you'll be able to get it off. Does help if you open the door a little bit, just to give you a bit more room to work with. Right, so now you'll see we've got this frame in here that holds the tail light. So there's 5 Torx screws to remove on that. So I'll go ahead and remove those and then I'll show you the route that we run in. And just a little side note, you can't tap into the power source for the reverse lights to automatically turn these on. At least you can't use that as a direct power source. We did actually try it. And the vehicle electronics on the Grenadier are really sensitive to additional current draw. So while the SRM only draws 1.6 amps, it's enough to actually trip that light. So what you'll find is if you do tap into it or you splice into the power supply to the reverse light, it'll actually trip. So it'll come on for about a second and then it'll shut down. So what we figure is it's monitoring the current draw really closely. So anything out of the norm, it doesn't like. We did wire it via a relay as well. So we did find that was a way to do it, but we figured it wasn't really worth the hassle, given you can just flick the overhead switch to turn them on whenever you want. So if you're reversing, you just flick that switch, it comes on. I mean, you can do the relay, but yeah, we didn't think it was worth the aggravation. So as you can see, what we did here, we've basically got our small harness. This is a development harness that we were doing, so hence it's got 2 plugs. And you can see where we tried tapping into the reverse light and it didn't really work. So we followed the factory harness back through here. This takes you back behind the plastics in the above the footwell, sorry, the wheel well. From the wheel well, you can quite easily get to underneath the rear seats, and then it's just a case of removing a few more plastic trim pieces to get to that INT1. Or like I said, alternatively, you can wire it up to your roof behind this panel. The roof is certainly easier and less work, but it just depends whether you've got that high load pack or if you want to utilize one of those switches. So by now you'd have decided how you're going to wire the lights. You either have gone through and followed the taillight harness under the seats, or you'll have utilized one of the rooftop power points. So what we recommend is get the wire so that it's long enough and have your plug of choice on the end of that. And then on the bracket and on your light, you're going to want to, if you've got terminals to crimp on there, crimp those on. Don't put the plug on, because this hole here is the one that you need to run the cable through. If you put a plug on that, you're not going to get it through the hole. So we recommend at this stage, you're going to mount the light, put the wire through, then you're going to plug it in and fit the bracket. So we'll go ahead and do that now. So like I said, we're going to feed this wire through this hole first, and then we're going to go ahead and mount our lights. I won't tighten that up fully just yet, because we're going to begin to be able to move the light in order to access these fixings. Right, so as I mentioned, got the lights on now, we've got our plug on, so we'll go ahead, plug this in. Got a bit of space in there, so we'll tuck that plug away. Give this a tug, pull it off. Then that bracket will go in like that. What you can do is just put the M6 dome heads in, just to hold it in place. Get the M6 nylocks. Right, so we'll just put the nylocks in the back here. You'll pick up the thread, the M6. Right, so we've got the clip on now, so we're just going to have to push this panel back in place. Just a little trick, if you look on the side here, there are these little tabs. Well, there's tabs inside here, and there are these little brackets that they need to pick up in. So when you push this back, if it's popping out, it's likely because you haven't got the tab sitting in here properly. So when you push it in, just make sure that's nice and flush. Make sure you're behind there, and then just a good click, and that'll be back in place. We'll see we've got our hole lining up there to put that fixing back in. And then we'll come to the inside and we'll have all these screws to put back in. and then that'll conclude the installation. So we'll go ahead and get those in and show you guys what it's like when it's done. So that's our rigid light installed. We'll just go ahead and nip that up now, and then you can obviously adjust the angle however you want. And then yeah, that's our install complete.